Do you remember these faces? They were once brilliant stars who suddenly vanished from the spotlight. Have you ever wondered where they went? Or what caused these legendary names to quietly step away from the glory? Not everyone knows that behind these sudden departures lies the devastating storm of illness. These people dedicated their lives to music, film, and the arts, fought and triumphed in the harsh world of Hollywood. But in the end, they couldn't conquer the deadly diseases that tore apart their lives and careers. From great singers to legendary actors, each story is a tragedy that will leave you speechless. In today's video, we will uncover the desperate chapters these stars faced, showing how they bravely searched for hope and fought fiercely for their lives. 1. Aretha Franklin, the Queen of Soul, the painful battle, with death and unbelievable efforts to overcome excruciating pain. Aretha Franklin, the Queen of Soul, a name forever tied to the history of world music, who left an unforgettable mark on the hearts of fans. With legendary hits like Respect and Natural Woman, she conquered the world and received countless awards, including 18 prestigious Grammy Awards. Every time she sang, listeners were swept into a space filled with emotions inseparable from her voice. But then, as time passed, an unexpected tragedy forced this queen to step away from the stage she once ruled. In 2010, the news hit like a bolt of lightning. Aretha Franklin was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. This illness not only ravaged her body, but also threatened her spirit, forcing her to scale back her performance schedule and slowly fade away from the spotlight. Each passing day was a painful battle, not just with the deadly disease, but with the deep sorrow of being unable to continue contributing to music. People still remember her fragile, weak figure with a smile on her face, but her eyes no longer sparkled like they once did. Many times, images of her on stage made the audience feel a deep sense of compassion. Who would have guessed that the Queen of Soul had to endure excruciating pain every day? But she fought this cruel disease for 8 long years. There were rumors surrounding her death, suggesting that in her final years she rejected chemotherapy and chose to live the rest of her days as freely as possible. Looking back at her journey, Aretha faced enormous pressure from her career, which may have been a key factor in her developing the disease and its silent progression. Though this is just a doctor's guess, one thing is certain: unhealthy eating habits and an unbalanced life due to her packed schedule contributed significantly to the increased risk of this disease. Irregular meals, combined with constant anxiety and stress from work, may have created a body vulnerable to attack by illness. Regardless of the cause, no one can deny Aretha's resilience. She didn't give up, didn't surrender to fate. That's why, in her final years, even though her health was deteriorating, she still received endless love from fans worldwide. And then, in 2018, the Queen of Soul passed away. But her musical legacy lives on. No one can forget the image of Aretha Franklin standing on stage, delivering soul-stirring melodies. But no one truly understood the pain behind that voice. 2. Billie Holiday, Lady Day. The tragic final days of the jazz icon, a battle without escape. Billie Holiday, known as Lady Day, is an immortal symbol in jazz music. Born in 1915, she created timeless masterpieces like Strange Fruit and God Bless the Child, causing the world to weep as they listened to her deeply emotional, hauntingly beautiful voice. But her brilliant career did not last forever. Billie's life, already filled with tragedy from an early age, would never escape the pit of pain and despair, even when she became famous. In 1959, at the age of 44, Billie Holiday passed away in agony from cirrhosis of the liver, a direct result of a life of addiction and lack of control. Surely no one could imagine the sight of a Lady Day, frail and weak, lying in a hospital bed, her body nearly lifeless, yet her soul still echoing the haunting tunes of Strange Fruit. Rumor had it that during the long nights battling illness, she still sang as if saying her final goodbyes to life. And in her loneliness, she was no longer the queen of the stage, but a ghost drowning in the painful darkness. What's worth noting is that, beyond her illness, The emotional suffering she endured was caused by the government and society, with the FBI constantly putting pressure on her, making Billie's life a never-ending battle. Could it be that she had to endure these struggles because she dared to challenge injustice through her music? Billie Holiday's life seemed to be one struggle after another. She had a tragic childhood, filled with abuse and hardship, but those pains were just the tip of the iceberg. Her brilliant career was overshadowed by her struggles with alcohol and drug addiction, which made her a slave to herself. Her rebellious lifestyle and reliance on substances to cope with the pressure and haunting memories of her childhood continuously dragged her down. In her final years, when her body no longer had the strength to fight, when all she had left were the glorious memories of her past, Billie had to face the harsh truth. Cirrhosis of the liver kept her from performing, from satisfying her burning passion for music, the only comfort in her heart. A life that once stood at the peak of glory ended in long, lonely nights in a hospital, her sorrowful eyes looking back at the past. Billie Holiday left this world in both physical and emotional ruin, but she left behind an immortal musical legacy, one that only those who witnessed her life could truly understand. 3. Ella Fitzgerald, the First Lady of Jazz, losing her legs, but never letting the music stop. Ella Fitzgerald, known as the First Lady of Jazz, dedicated her entire life to music. Melodies like Summertime and Dream a Little Dream of Me will forever be etched in the hearts of music lovers. But few know that, behind the glow of her monumental achievements and countless Grammy Awards, there was a life full of tragedy and pain. In her final years, she was no longer on stage, no longer shining with her piano, but instead confined to a wheelchair with her legs amputated. Ella Fitzgerald suffered from type 2 diabetes, a disease that often goes unnoticed but devastates the body without mercy. Diabetes, combined with a packed work schedule and poor self-care habits during the peak of her career, transformed Ella from a jazz queen into someone living in seclusion, enduring indescribable physical pain. And then, the unimaginable tragedy struck. The legs that once kept her standing on stage could no longer bear the strain of the disease. Both of Ella's legs were amputated, a heartbreaking image no one ever wanted to witness for someone who had once dominated stages across the globe. But Ella refused to let her precious melodies be lost, even though her body no longer had the strength. In her final days, she sat in a wheelchair, her hands trembling, yet still trying to play music. The feeling of no longer being able to stand on stage, no longer able to sing for her beloved fans, was a pain beyond words. It is said that she cried when she had to say goodbye to her cherished piano. Though she could not conquer the disease, Ella's heart for music never stopped beating. In her final years, she lived quietly, but her music would never be forgotten. The world continued to listen and love her, even though she no longer stood on stage. Ella Fitzgerald passed away in 1996, but her music will live on forever as a testament to the incredible resilience and strength of a legend. 4. Richard Pryor, the king of comedy, drowned in a tragic end. Richard Pryor, the legendary comedian and iconic film star, built a brilliant career with classic works such as Stir Crazy. He was hailed as a pioneer in taking comedy to new heights, transcending racial and cultural barriers in the American entertainment world. But that fame was not enough to banish the darkness of Pryor's life as he faced the devastating disease of multiple sclerosis, MS, a tragedy that not only robbed him of his health, but also imprisoned his spirit in constant pain. The diagnosis of multiple sclerosis was a devastating blow to Richard Pryor, who had made millions of people around the world laugh but could not escape the helplessness of his own cruel fate. The disease attacked his nervous system, weakening his body to the point where he could no longer move or perform the most basic tasks. For someone who once ruled the stage, this was a complete collapse. The image of him sitting in a wheelchair, his emaciated hands and helpless eyes, became a heartbreaking testament to the tragedy of a legend pushed into the shadows of life. Pryor's final years were a series of painful days, both physically and mentally. Not only did he face the decline of his body, but he also had to battle memories of his years of addiction and the devastating accident that shocked his life. Pryor had used cocaine for many years, and the horrific accident where he set himself on fire due to drug use became one of the most shocking events of his life. Perhaps it was this reckless lifestyle, seeking escape from the pressures of the spotlight, that led him to this tragic end. Richard Pryor passed away in 2005, leaving behind a timeless comedy legacy. Though he left this world in pain and loneliness, his indomitable spirit and extraordinary talent continue to live on in the hearts of his fans. His story serves as a haunting reminder of the price one must pay for fame and glory. 5. Toni Braxton, the Queen of R&B. Overcoming a life-or-death battle. Toni Braxton, the resounding name in R&B music, is a music icon with hits like Unbreak My Heart and Breathe Again. With her emotionally rich voice and captivating performance style, she conquered audiences worldwide and earned numerous prestigious awards, including 7 Grammy Awards. However, behind the stage's glimmer lies an unexpected story: her long battle with systemic lupus erythematosus, a disease that turned her life down a painful and challenging path. Toni Braxton once described lupus as a hidden enemy that lurked, attacking her body at any time. It was not just a physical battle, but a terrifying mental torture. The constant pain and fatigue forced her to drastically cut down her performance schedule, and at times she feared she might have to give up her beloved career. There were moments when Toni became so overwhelmed that she couldn't bring herself to step on stage, afraid she would collapse before thousands of fans. Those close to her believed that the constant pressures of her career and personal financial issues contributed to pushing Toni to the brink. 2 public bankruptcies, ongoing financial struggles, and the relentless work during her peak years wore down her health. Lupus, an autoimmune disease, became a cruel accomplice to the stress, rapidly weakening her body. At one point, Toni faced negative thoughts, but she chose to fight, overcoming it all to become an inspiration to millions of fans. Today, even though she must live with the disease, Toni Braxton continues to give her all. She appears on stage with a strong smile, delivering a message of resilience and hope. For Toni, every time she sings is a victory over illness, affirming that life, no matter how harsh, is still worth living and fighting for. 6. Lena Horne, a film icon and the bitter cost of fame. Lena Horne, one of the brightest stars in film and jazz music, is a timeless icon known for her unique voice and captivating presence. With the classic hit Stormy Weather, Lena left an indelible mark on music history. She was not only an outstanding artist, but also a symbol of the fight for equality, overcoming racial barriers in Hollywood during the 1940s. But few know that behind that glittering fame was a life filled with unimaginable sorrow. In her final years, Lena Horne faced the cruel enemy of heart disease, a silent foe that had long been eroding her health and passion. Once a powerhouse on stage with her powerful voice, Lena was forced to retire, retreating from the spotlight in unbearable pain. Her battle with heart disease was not only a physical issue, but also a tremendous mental pressure. She once tearfully shared that not being able to continue singing felt like losing her soul. It is said that she cried many nights when she realized her voice, which had once captivated millions, would no longer resonate before an audience. For Lena, the racism she encountered throughout her career not only deprived her of many opportunities, but also caused prolonged stress, which may have contributed to her weakening heart. Some of her close family members have said that family conflicts and complicated relationships also contributed to her deteriorating health. When she passed away in 2010 at the age of 92, Lena Horne left behind not just an enduring musical legacy, but also a story of resilience as a Black woman who stood up amidst oppression. Though the price was steep, the light that Lena once ignited continues to shine in the hearts of millions of fans. 7. Barry White, a musical legend in a tragic health battle. Barry White, known as the Walrus of Love, was a musical icon with a deep, warm voice that melted millions of hearts. He became famous with timeless hits like You're the First, The Last, My Everything, leaving an unforgettable mark on the history of music. His career peak spanned decades, bringing not only fame, but also a massive, loyal fan base. However, few know that behind the spotlight, there was a painful and haunting life story, ending in a tragedy that could not be reversed. In his final years, Barry White fought against kidney failure caused by uncontrolled high blood pressure. This cruel disease not only took away his health, but also robbed him of the voice that had been his trademark. It is said that Barry initially ignored medical warnings, believing that his strength and voice were invincible. But the harsh truth struck. The disease ravaged his body, subjecting him to endless pain and intensive treatments. There were rumors that his lavish lifestyle, with late-night parties to relieve the pressures of fame, and his serious weight issues were key contributors to his condition. Barry, once the confident and seductive figure on stage, now had to be bound to a hospital bed and dialysis machine. Even in his final days, he continued to try recording, but his voice no longer had the life it once had. It was merely the faint echo of a legend fading away. Barry White passed away in 2003 at the age of 58, leaving an irreplaceable void in the hearts of his fans. Although he could not overcome the illness, Barry's musical legacy will forever resonate. His story serves as a bitter reminder of the cost of fame and the cruel pressures of the entertainment industry. A legend may have passed, but Barry's love for music will endure forever. 8. Donny Hathaway, the musical genius with schizophrenia. Donny Hathaway, a name that cannot be left out of world music history, is known as a genius voice. Timeless melodies like A Song for You and This Christmas have deeply embedded his name in the hearts of fans. Born in 1945, Donny quickly rose to stardom in the 1970s, leaving a powerful mark with his songwriting talent and emotionally charged voice. But behind the bright spotlight, he fought a cruel psychological battle that led him down a path of no return. Schizophrenia became the dark shadow that haunted Donny Hathaway's life. It not only took away his stability, but also robbed him of the creative abilities of a great artist. Donny faced delusions, paranoid thoughts that someone was trying to harm him, and long-lasting periods of depression. Colleagues witnessed him abruptly leaving the recording studio, his eyes filled with fear, as if fleeing from an invisible enemy. It was said that he felt isolated, and the pressure of expectations, combined with work conflicts, only worsened his condition. The final days of Donny's life were a series of silent suffering. His family recalled that he played a mournful tune before he left, as if saying goodbye to the world. On that fateful day in 1979, he was found falling from a 15th-floor window of a hotel in New York, leaving an unhealable pain for his family, friends, and millions of fans. Perhaps the social stigma surrounding mental illness kept Donny from seeking help, ultimately leading to a tragic escape. The harsh music industry, coupled with his loneliness and endless work conflicts, might have also been contributing factors that pushed him into a deep state of despair. But despite his departure, Donny Hathaway's musical legacy lives on. 9. Minnie Riperton, the angel with a high-pitched voice, but a short life. Minnie Riperton, a musical angel with an enchanting high-pitched voice in the timeless hit Loving You, is an irreplaceable icon of the 1970s. Born in 1947, Minnie quickly asserted her talent and became a pioneer in the use of whistle notes, making her voice unique. But that brilliance couldn't save her from the tragedy of life. When her career was at its peak, Minnie received a cruel fate: breast cancer at the age of 28, and just 3 years later, she passed away at the age of 31, leaving an infinite sorrow behind. Cancer came like a storm, shattering all of Minnie Riperton's plans and dreams. Instead of surrendering, she chose to fight. But that battle was not an easy one. It's said that Minnie had to perform while in excruciating pain, with each high note like a silent cry trapped in her chest. The pressures of being a mother to 2 young children, along with the responsibility of maintaining her career in the harsh music industry, made her overlook the early signs of illness. By the time it was discovered, it was too late. In her final days, Minnie fought bravely against the hand of death. People say that, despite her frailty, she still entered the recording studio, trying to record songs with positive and hopeful messages, hoping to leave her essence in this world forever. It wasn't just music, it was a farewell, a legacy that she left for the world. Minnie Riperton may be gone, but her angelic voice will forever echo, a testament to a talent and heart that refused to succumb to adversity. 10. Mahalia Jackson. The tragedy of the Queen of Gospel behind the glory. Mahalia Jackson, the Queen of Gospel, is an immortal icon in the world of music. With her classic hit, Move On Up a Little Higher, released in 1947, she not only broke every gospel music sales record, but also became a symbol of the struggle for equality. Mahalia's powerful, soulful voice connected with the hearts of millions. But behind the glittering glory, her life was a series of tragedies that ended sadly in 1972, when she passed away at the age of 60 due to complications from diabetes and heart disease. Mahalia silently battled illness. It's said that, despite facing heart attacks and fluctuating blood sugar levels, she continued to perform, trying not to disappoint her fans. But no one truly understood the pain she had to endure. The pressure of maintaining the image of the Queen of Gospel led Mahalia to often hide her condition, continuing to perform and engage in social activities. But perhaps it was the constant touring and sleepless nights dedicated to music and charity that wore down her health over time. In her final days, Mahalia's health rapidly deteriorated. People recall that she would quietly sit and pray through her tears, singing hymns as if saying goodbye to the world she loved. The image of Mahalia Jackson, with her resonating voice full of vitality, now remains only as a memory. Her sacrifice for music and the community made her an undying symbol. 11. Gregory Hines, the tap dance legend. Standing strong in the battle against liver cancer. Gregory Hines, a golden name in tap dance, was not only a masterful dancer, but also a talented actor. With his magical dance moves on stage and his stellar performance in White Nights, 1985, he made a lasting impression on fans. Born to dominate the stage, Gregory became an endless source of inspiration for modern tap dance. But tragedy struck, taking away his brightest light. In 2003, Gregory Hines passed away from liver cancer, leaving behind an unhealable pain and regret. The cruel disease had attacked him like an invisible enemy, turning the once powerful body that commanded the stage into a frail form, losing strength. The image of the artist who once danced like flying, now struggling against pain, became a haunting memory. Despite knowing his health was weakening, Gregory never gave up. He still tried to rise, performing his final dance steps as a tribute to the fans who had loved him. Many believe that the pressure from his performing career and busy schedule contributed to Gregory's deteriorating health. It's also possible that his smoking habit, used to relieve stress, played a role in his illness. But whatever the reason, we cannot deny that, until his last moments, he remained a symbol of resilience. His sweat, tears, and the final tap dance steps merged into an eternal melody, leaving behind an irreplaceable legacy. Gregory Hines' passing was not only a loss for his family, but also a heartbreaking sorrow for the entire art world. 12. Florence Ballard, the tragic heartbreak of the Supremes' Rose. Florence Ballard, a powerful voice and one of the founding members of the legendary Motown group The Supremes, once reached the pinnacle of glory with hits like Where Did Our Love Go? With her captivating stage presence and fierce spirit, she played a key role in making the group a global symbol in the 1960s. But that shining light didn't last forever. After being kicked out of the group in 1967, Florence fell into the depths of disappointment and despair. The scandal of internal conflicts, being replaced by Diana Ross, and the feeling of betrayal caused her to completely collapse. The shock of losing her career drove her to alcohol as a way to escape the pain. Her prolonged drinking binges and moments of uncontrollable behavior tarnished her public image. Moreover, her deteriorating financial situation forced her to struggle with debt and a difficult life. Rumor has it that Florence had to apply for social assistance, a devastating blow to her self-esteem. Her once strong and lively body on stage was now severely weakened. Prolonged alcohol addiction and poor nutrition caused her health to plummet. In 1976, Florence passed away at the age of 32 due to malnutrition and heart disease, leaving behind a heartbreaking story in the entertainment industry. Fans still regret and wonder if Florence hadn't been pushed out of the group, would her life have been different? But no matter what, Florence Ballard became a symbol of talent and tragedy, a painful story about the dark side of fame. 13. Phyllis Hyman, the tragic diva and the tearful drama behind the spotlight. Phyllis Hyman, a musical icon and Broadway stage legend, once captivated millions with timeless songs like You Know How to Love Me and her captivating stage performances. She was a living testament to talent and relentless effort, a shining star in the entertainment world of the 70s and 80s. But that radiant fame concealed a dark, grim reality no one saw coming. Phyllis struggled with bipolar disorder, a cruel mental illness that not only stole her smile, but gradually destroyed her spirit. In her days of inner turmoil, she faced prolonged bouts of depression, a sense of isolation, and overwhelming pressure from the entertainment industry. Those close to her revealed that Phyllis had sought help, but the glamorous world she belonged to turned a blind eye, pushing her into a spiral of despair. The letters she left behind before ending her life in 1995 at the age of 45 shocked the public. They were tearful sighs of feeling abandoned, exhausted, and hopeless. Phyllis's death was not just the loss of a great talent, but a wake-up call about the brutal pressure the music industry places on its artists. 14. Bernie Mac, the tragic comedy and the unexpected death. Bernie Mac, the beloved comedian famous for The Bernie Mac Show and his stellar performances in Ocean's 11, was one of the entertainment industry's indispensable names. From his early days in stand-up comedy, he became a sensation, leaving audiences mesmerized by his unique style. By the 2000s, Bernie had become a comedy icon, but behind that smile lay a tragic, silent struggle that was gradually draining his health and life. While laughter echoed, Bernie was fighting the nightmare of sarcoidosis, a chronic inflammatory disease affecting the lungs and other organs. He battled with every breath, every prolonged cough, but kept his condition hidden, not wanting to disappoint his fans. His ongoing treatment seemed futile for a body worn thin. His busy work schedule, late nights performing, and non-stop filming left Bernie with little time to rest. Finally, in 2008, Bernie Mac passed away in indescribable pain, leaving a huge void in the entertainment world. His death was a devastating shock, not just the loss of a star, but a stark reminder of the pain artists face, even as they continue to smile on stage. 15. Alvin Ailey, the tragedy in the dance of death. Alvin Ailey, the founder of the Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater, changed the world of dance with legendary works like Revelations. Since establishing his dance center in the 1950s, Ailey brought a wave of new artistry, becoming an indispensable icon of contemporary dance. But behind those inspiring movements was a life fraught with tragedy, where pressure, loneliness, and illness relentlessly tore at him from within. Despite building a monumental and stable artistic empire, Alvin Ailey couldn't hold steady when faced with severe health decline in his later years. Not only was he physically deteriorating, but he also battled deep psychological crises, like an unrelenting undercurrent that kept rising. It is said that he fought extreme loneliness, feeling unable to convey his passion and inspiration to younger dancers. Perhaps the pressure of maintaining a major dance center and the constant expectations from the art community wore him down. Moreover, the years of hiding his sexual orientation in a society full of prejudice may have contributed to his mental decline, turning each dance step into a battle not just with his body, but also with his mind. Ailey's death in 1989, due to complications related to HIV/AIDS, marked the end of a legend. But did the years of solitude and pressure contribute to his rise to fame, inspiring the world with his art? 16. Heavy D, the shocking death of a hip-hop legend, health destroyed after wild nights. Heavy D, born Dwight Arrington Myers, won the hearts of millions of hip-hop fans with hits like Now That We Found Love. As one of the legends of the music industry, he built his own empire, not only as a rapper but also as a standout creative. However, few knew that behind the spotlight and thunderous applause was an ongoing battle with his own body. Heavy D's heart slowly became paralyzed in a silent, harsh war no one could see. Perhaps the glamorous life, late nights, parties, and unhealthy eating habits caused his heart condition to progress beyond saving. Who could imagine that? Many nights he stood on stage, giving his all, but with only a fraction of strength left in his tired body. He tried to maintain his image and career in the music industry, but it came at the cost of his health and spirit. Obesity, uncontrolled eating habits, coupled with enormous work and fame pressure, all led to a heart that could no longer withstand. His death in 2011 at the age of 44 was a shock not only to fans, but also a painful warning about the prices paid for living under the spotlight. Heavy D left too soon, leaving behind an undying music legacy, but also a reminder of how fame can devastate any celebrity. 17. Nate Dogg, the echoing voice of hip-hop, faded after painful strokes. Nate Dogg, born Nathaniel Dwayne Hale, was a hip-hop music legend, famous for his stunning voice in hits like Regulate. He gave the world unforgettable melodies, becoming an icon in rap music. But behind that spotlight, a nightmare lurked. Suddenly, Nate Dogg was struck by 2 severe strokes. This illness not only paralyzed his body, but also destroyed his ability to communicate, leaving him unable to sing or even care for himself. The feeling of lying in a hospital bed, watching his most treasured gift slip away, was likely something no one could fully comprehend. The strokes were not just waves that swept away his health, but also the end of a legend. Some say Nate Dogg's lifestyle in the music industry partly led to this destruction. All-night parties, smoking, and drug use seemed to be the remedy for his life full of tension, but ultimately they exacted a heavy toll. Without treating underlying health issues, particularly high blood pressure and diabetes, Nate Dogg passed away at the young age of 41 in 2011. His passing was a painful reminder of the value of health, which is often only truly appreciated when it's gone. 18. Ruby Dee, the silver screen legend stolen by time and health. Ruby Dee, a name deeply etched in the hearts of fans through her iconic roles and life of dedication, was an irreplaceable symbol of both art and society. Known as a legendary actress and a fierce activist, she tirelessly fought for justice and the rights of the Black community, leaving a significant mark on cinema. But all her resilience and boundless energy could not withstand the ravages of time. At the age of 91, Ruby Dee no longer had the strength to continue the work she had devoted her life to. The final years of her life were filled with pain and exhaustion. She had to gradually step away from beloved artistic work and the struggles she had fought for so long. A woman who had once been the embodiment of endurance now became the image of a warrior worn out. A life filled with tension and battle had left its mark on her body. Ruby Dee no longer had the strength to continue walking the path of struggle, but the light she brought to the world would never dim. Ultimately, her death in 2014 marked the tragic end of a life dedicated to giving. No one could deny that Ruby Dee was a great warrior, and her passing was an irreplaceable loss. 19. Tammy Terrell, the bright rose shattered by fate before it could fully bloom. Tammy Terrell, the beautiful and talented singer, captivated the world with timeless hits alongside Marvin Gaye, like Ain't No Mountain High Enough. She was a rising star with an entire future ahead of her, barely in her 20s. From her first steps in music, Tammy had already conquered the hearts of fans. But tragedy struck when she was only 24. Just a few years after shining brightly in the spotlight, Tammy was diagnosed with a brain tumor, a deadly disease no one could have imagined when seeing her radiant on stage. The illness, like a storm, hit suddenly and ravaged her body quickly, causing her health to deteriorate rapidly. Everything seemed to happen so fast. Unable to sing, unable to perform, her once promising dreams were now confined to memories. Tammy's final days were perhaps marked by desperation, looking back at her brilliant career being consumed by this cruel disease. The brain tumor attacked her so swiftly that no one could fully comprehend or save her in time. The early signs might have been overlooked, leaving her to battle constant pain. Despite her declining health, Tammy fought to the very last moment, but death came too swiftly. The pressures of the artist's life, the non-stop tours, may have worsened her health, but ultimately, these are just vague speculations before the merciless hand of fate. Tammy Terrell passed away at such a young age, leaving behind a world that never saw her reach her full potential. 20. Maurice White, the shining music star stolen from the embrace of fans. Maurice White, the founder of Earth, Wind and Fire, was a musical legend with unforgettable hits like September. He was not just the creator of addictive melodies, but the soul of one of the greatest bands of all time. However, his illustrious career had to face a relentless enemy: Parkinson's disease. Since 1992, he had begun to battle this illness, and by the time of his death in 2016, he had fought valiantly to continue contributing to the world of music, but eventually his strength ran out. Parkinson's disease slowly took away Maurice White's ability to perform. The dark nights, when he couldn't hold his instruments or create the melodies that the world had come to love, became a haunting reality. Parkinson's not only affected his body, but also paralyzed his mind, robbing him of the creativity he had once shared with the world. Despite being a legendary star, Maurice White couldn't escape the devastation of Parkinson's. The disease silently attacked him for years, causing him to gradually lose the ability to do what he loved, what the world had adored. But even knowing that time was running out, he gave everything he had until he could no longer continue. Thus, the stories of these black legends, whose careers were taken by deadly diseases, come to a close. These iconic names, irreplaceable talents, all had to endure tragic fates from illnesses they couldn't conquer. This is a truth no one wants to face. These individuals gave everything they had, but they could not escape their battle with disease and were even forced to face it alone. What can we do to help those who are facing such challenges now and in the future? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to not miss the next mysterious stories about Hollywood stars.